Hello, sweet, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Divine Alignment. I have a beautiful guest joining me today, Holly, and I would just love Holly to, first of all, welcome. And I would love to begin with a bit about you, your story, who you are, what you do, your medicine, your gifts, your magic that you are sharing with the world. So, yeah, if you would just love to introduce yourself.
All right, sure. Thank you, Jasmine. I'm super delighted to be here. I can't wait for this conversation. Hello, community. I'm just delighted to be coming into your ears right now. I guess what I would say is I am someone who is an earth lover, and I am been an environmentalist since I could remember. Being a human being, and I grew up camping and doing all kinds of outdoor things. I was raised with this beautiful love of the planet and the earth. And as a consequence, when I got to college, I decided to dedicate my life to saving the earth because I was had that deep connection. And I went off and started learning about, for me, the natural thing was like, oh, the dream job would be to work for an environmental organization and do environmental conservation. And so that's what I did. And was so fortunate. I had a job with the Nature Conservancy, and I worked for them for 20 years and did some other work as a conservation scientist. And about 6 years ago, when I was 45, I really thought I would be an environmental conservation scientist for my whole career. I mean, I thought that's like I'd just do that and then I would live happily ever after. And so, it's not what happened. Instead, what happened is I got a broken heart about the planet and what we were doing. And it felt like what I was doing would never be enough. And I got burnout and tired. I mean, I'm tearing up telling you this. I got so tired of feeling like no matter what I did, the humans would just continue to, shit on the planet. And um, I had at the time, I mean, I have two beautiful children. I had a loving husband, and I was living in Wyoming, and I felt like I should be really happy. I've done everything, right by society's point of view. I've made it, if you will. I have a dream job, and yet I'm not happy. And something's missing, something's wrong. And I don't know how to fix it. And I'm getting really emotional, and I don't know how to fix it. And I went on a deep inner journey to fix that. And it took me through working with plant medicine. It took me into meditation. It took me into deep spirituality. I thought I was spiritual. Had been, reading spiritual books ever since I was a kid. That's another part of my path. But hadn't done the deep inner work and really looked at what it meant to carry sadness and what how we break through. Like, how do we um actually alchemize our pain and grief for the world into love, beauty, and truth? How do we do that? And of course, the ancient texts and ancient ways are about that, and the indigenous beautiful plant medicines and indigenous cultures who know how to live in harmony with the planet, and who, in doing so, while we, continue to, create genocide against them, they know how to do this. They know how to awaken our hearts to what's true and real and beautiful and live in harmony. And so those paths showed me that way. And when I'm not going to say came out, I did have a number of openings, and I did step into a place of joy, love, truth, and beauty. And I'm still on that journey for sure. But when I came through that first part of my path, I couldn't do what I was doing anymore. I was inspired to teach and share and help people discover what I discovered, because what I realized is that the planet doesn't need us to save her. We need to save ourselves.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. And I can just like feel the depth in the truth and the power in that. And yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. It's it's such a I've been on a similar realization too, because I too have such a deep, deep love for the earth. And it's part of my spiritual journey and my spiritual awakening was through connecting with nature. Like
Mm.
I wouldn't be in this place in my path without my deep love and connection with nature. So I love that you're sharing that. I am pretty sure every episode at this point I've shared with people, you're trying to get in touch with yourself, please just go to nature. She will show you, she will show you. And and yet I wholeheartedly feel that like it does, it can feel like this insurmountable thing to try and save the earth. And yet I do believe that like when we elevate our consciousness and become self-aware, like we're that ripple effect, right? To help others. And then naturally people start treating the earth better because they see it's an extension of us, you know? So, wow, that's so beautiful.
100%.
What
Right.
was, yeah.
We're not separate from her. Like we are nature. We are indigenous. We're earthlings. We belong here. We're not a poison, a toxin on the earth. That's how I felt, you know?
Mhm.
I was so disgusted by what humanity had done that it just felt like, the best thing for the planet would be if we would just get off and let her take over, and so I was always like trying to focus on the wilderness, like just keep humans out. Um and yeah, and I realized like that's actually not the solution. Yeah. And so this thing got birthed in me called that I call inner rewilding, because what I discovered was like we need to rewild ourselves, which means we need to learn how to reconnect with her, with ourselves deeply, and you know, and look to the teachers and the wisdom traditions that teach that know how to do that, and look to the plants who are all around us, who are ready to help us heal and reconnect. It's all like the irony is like it's all around us, right? you
That
know
is the irony indeed. And I was just sharing, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, how it's like we're it's almost, I think, in this like this consumerism society that we have like created, there's so many options and so many choices that we think that we need more. We think that we need more, 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 but we have it all right here. And nature is such a beautiful example of that. So, wow, just yes, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing all of that. And um, I'm curious because you had mentioned that plant medicine was like a really powerful catalyst in your journey. I'm curious what that looks like for you. And, just like as I am witnessing you, I'm curious if you have in any of your journeys tapped into any of your past lineages or past, because I so see that just like in who you are and who you emanate, like you definitely have like that inner medicine woman within you. So I'm curious if that was revealed, and yeah, what those plant medicine journeys were like for you in your healing and expansion.
Oh, thank you for that question. So that's such a beautiful, rich question. Mm. So I started working with ayahuasca in 2019, and that took me down to Peru, and it took me to Costa Rica. And I did some beautiful journeys. In Costa Rica, I was working with indigenous teachers in Colombia, Taito Juanito and Taito Luis. And Um, Most recently in Peru, I was there for a 10-day retreat, and some other ceremonies here in the US. And um, she is an amazing medicine. That's what I will say. Ayahuasca is, she's a brutal, some of the most difficult experiences in my whole life ever, have been, yeah, in those ceremonies, especially in the jungle. It's not a joke. It's hard. It was hard for me. I'll say that. And she peels away all of, I mean, she cleans you out. She cleanses, she purifies. And I had a lot of cleansing and purifying to do. And, all that sadness for the planet that moves me, that I talked about at the beginning, I just remember being in these ceremonies and just bawling about what we were doing, you know, and, um, and but like, what ayahuasca does, it feels different than other medicines, is you come through the darkness. Um, and then it's like she lifts you up into the light. Like you emerge in the morning, in the dawn, and you awaken, into a new day. And not, I mean, sometimes I awoke and it was still pretty heavy and hard, but ultimately it did carry me through through the rapid, as it were, out into the calm water. And then the integration and what unfolds weeks and weeks later is where the real, gift is. It's amazing. Have you worked with ayahuasca at all? Can I
I
ask
have.
you that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have. I
Right.
have. I wanted to go to Costa Rica or Peru, but I did mine just my first journey with her was 1 year later. So, of course, everything that transpired, I was not able to travel. So, I did do it locally. And yes, she is such a beautiful, I mean, such a beautiful teacher. And so like I just feel everything that you're sharing because that's yes, exactly how she works is she shows you the hard stuff, but she brings you into the light.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, she's been my main teacher. I am working also, I do work with psilocybin and grandfather, as we say. I work with grandfather. More recently, I've been doing some work with MDMA, and those are beautiful medicines too. You know, which I deeply, deeply respect. And I have been recently shown that you asked about my, lineage, and it's so interesting because I have not gotten a lot of clear information, although I have asked. I have not gotten a lot of clear information. And most recent ceremony I was in, I was maybe shown more than I'd been shown before, where I was, I was given the name Holly of the Earth. I mean, so simple, but like I was shown, like I bring Earth medicine, and my name Holly actually is, joy. It means joy, delight, and so it carries the essence of that. And so it was, they were funny in the ceremony. They're like, because I said, what's my name, and other teachers have these esoteric names and stuff, and I'm like, what's my name? They're like, we gave you a good name. Like, your name is a beautiful plant. And she carries the energy of joy. Why, like, we got it right the first time. Don't question it. So I know, I know that I have deep roots to the earth, um like I'm an earth mother, earth guardian spirit. Yeah, that's what I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I don't think it's always like I just like pick up within you. There's very much like shamanic,
Mm.
like a shamanic elder, that wise energy. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was like that medicine woman. It feels like, I mean, that's why it feels like to me why you're so like tapped into the earth and all of it, because her healing abilities, and the medicine woman, the shamans, they work closely, they speak with the plants too. So I just
Mm.
like get that that's why it's so natural for you. And you definitely like hold that in your energy. So that's really beautiful. And I love that. Yeah, I think these plants can be such beautiful tools in our awakening. I feel like they definitely are the fast track to speeding up the healing.
Yes. I think they are too. They're not for everybody. And,
Yeah,
you feel that we say that, ayahuasca calls you, you don't, you'll
absolutely.
know if you're supposed to work with her. And
Yeah.
so, I so trust that. And every, time I work with medicine, it's very sacred. I also feel like really important to say that, like, none of this work is not, these aren't party drugs, or this isn't, none of it's like that. It's all done all very, respectfully, and honoring the plants as teachers. They're teachers.
They are absolutely. And I always, yes, thank you for sharing that and adding that because I always tell people too, like she will invite you. She will invite you. You don't have to seek her out. Yeah, I mean, any of these plants. Like for me personally, ayahuasca was incredibly just how sensitive I am. Ayahuasca was very intense for me. So I actually gravitate more towards the mushrooms because they're just a bit more gentle for my energy. But we're all different. And that's, I think when people say that they have like really bad experiences, it's like, well, did first of all, were you invited into them? And then like the set and setting and intention is so important too. So
So important. So, so important. Yeah, I've been on a lot of different settings now. And to have enough appreciation to be like, oh gosh, setting is so important. So you really want to vet that with, before you say yes, to really know who you're working with. And you really don't realize it till you're in the medicine, and then you see, you like you realize that the energy in the room and the energy of the facilitator, how it was handled, it all matters so much.
it all matters. Yeah. And when it's meant to be, when she truly invites you, it all facilitates and lines up exactly how it's supposed to be. So you don't really have to do anything. So that's always like I find another sign. So yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Well, on a hard turn, I'm curious too. You're really into sound and sound healing and frequencies, and I would love for you to share a bit about how you use like sound and frequency and vibration medicine in what you do and how it's played a part in your own healing journey and own life.
Okay. Oh, I love that question. Thank you. So from the plant frequencies to, it's all frequency,
I was
right?
just
So
gonna
that's
say it's all frequency.
all frequency. Um, and I started working with, well, I'm going to start by saying I grew up in a musical home, and music's always been a part of my life. So I'm naturally just really in tune with music. And I started, so I think it was a natural progression for me that when I went on my healing journey, I'll just drop in that as this shift was happening in 2018, that started me on this journey. I got mold poisoning. So I was super physically ill. And when I came out and was healing from that, one of the healing tools I started to work with was tuning forks. So I discovered Eileen McCusick, who teaches about biofield tuning, and heard her on a presentation one day, probably with a Shift Network, and was just immediately, actually a voice was like, "That's for you. You need, go learn about that." And so I enrolled in a training program. I mean, I barely skipped a beat, and I was just like, oh, I'm supposed to go work on that. So I ordered a set of tuning forks and started working with biofield tuning. And um, what I love about tuning forks is I love that they're, analog. I love that, like, they're simple. You can hold them, that they're not, there's nothing digital. You don't have to grab a computer. And that they're so simple, right? I'm gonna just tune one because it's so
Yes.
much fun. Yeah. I'm just gonna, you know, they're just They cut through the noise so quickly. What I learned is that the body is always seeking coherence. What we experience is pain. Um, it's really incoherence in our field. Um, it's a knot waiting to be untangled, um, because the symphony of love that is the happiness and joy, it's right behind the pain. It's right behind the tangle. It's right there. And tuning forks help remind us what the clear notes are. And they will, in a way, if you just keep listening and opening, the knots unfurl all on their own. Like, our bodies want to heal. Like, they know how to heal. We don't have to try so hard. Um, Again, it's a little bit like, the earth is like our earlier part of the conversation. Like, the earth is all around us, showing us the way. And tuning forks are a beautiful, elegant tool to also show the way. Um, and so you can keep toning them. Look at that. And they keep responding. So they're like sentient, alive. I want to say beings. um, Everything's, that way, that are responding to what's here, and showing the way. All sound is actually, but tuning forks are a particularly beautiful kind of entree into that. So that's how I started working with frequency, and that's what it's maybe shown me. And so now I use it in my work with clients, to support their healing journey and teach people, the magic of tuning forks. I love that you can just put them in your purse or put them in a bag, like, I love my crystal bowls, but they are a little unwieldy to carry around. They're great, but tuning forks don't break,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bring my tuning forks with me everywhere I go, and they're amazing. I mean, you know, they're amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I'm just like looking, I'm like, where's mine? I know mine's, I haven't used, you're like re-inspiring me because I haven't used mine in a bit, but yeah, it's actually probably by my front door because I would bring it to use with clients too. Because it automatically does shift the energy so quickly. And I love what you shared about our bodies know how to heal. And this is something from my own personal experience fighting my body for so many
Mm,
years, right? Fighting and not working with it, thinking like it was misbehaving, things weren't going wrong or things weren't going right. And this energy of fighting with the body, I see it in a lot of people, um,
mm,
thinking that the body is doing something wrong. And, these things, and I'm sure that, um, I would love to hear your perspective on this, but I really believe that these things like mold and dis-ease, it's our body talking to us. It's not misbehaving. It's communicating to us. There's messages in all of this for us, right? Um, and so I would love to just hear like how these sounds, how these frequencies, how this medicine you feel supported you in that detoxing, in that releasing, in that coherence. Because I know you shared a bit about like it breaks up disturbances in the field, right?
right.
And I think that's such a key component that if anyone like listening, just like it's that alone, like we have these energetic fields. And when we create a resonance, a harmonic resonance in our field, the body responds to this. So yeah, I would just love
Yeah.
to hear your perspective and how you feel that played in for you, because you know I can imagine like detoxing mold. Like I know it's not like a overnight thing. It's a journey and it's a process. And I would love to hear just like that evolution for you, and perhaps even what you learned and received from it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you. So much wisdom in what you just shared. So I just want to thank you for that. And I did find ultimately to speak to, you know, the trying, the part that like just wants this to go away and to be better, right? Because I want to speak to that because I felt that for so long. Like, why is this happening to me? And will this fucking go away? This is so hard. That feeling of just like, I would do anything to make it go away. And yet, everything I know esoterically, mystically, spiritually is that things come to us for a reason, even if we don't understand, even though my mind couldn't possibly understand why I'd called in mold. And even though I could tell you that like I don't process mold well and there's no reason why I should, feel like I called it in, I do believe we call in everything, for our own learning. And ultimately the mold actually was part of my catalyst to my whole transition and what I do. So I like to this day I thank it, even though it was you know really honestly one of the hardest things I ever went through. And I'm still working with versions of that. Like even recently I kind of had an allergic reaction to something and I was like, oh god, is that's mold again. Um, and there's that part of me that goes like doesn't want it there, and then there's the part that's like, you know, to just be compassionate and patient with ourselves, to take a deep breath and just like it's acceptance and surrender, right? It always comes back to like, what are you resisting? And coming into greater acceptance and surrender, because that's the pathway to harmony and coherence. So like if we think about a tuning fork, getting back to vibration, they help the body come back into they show the way. They're way showers to what coherence sounds like. So that even if my mind doesn't know what to do, my body is wise, and your body is wise and intelligent. It knows what to do if we get out of the way. So I think then we just be compassionate with our minds that are in ourselves, and um, just keep letting our bodies show us what is nurturing, what feels like support, what feels good, and follow that. Um, that's that's the way home that I know. That's what healing is. Healing is flow. Healing is expansive. Healing is allowing. Um, and tuning forks and other sound healing modalities help remind us what harmony sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. And I love that you share that. I'm curious, do you are there specific like 432 or 52, like what ones do you typically gravitate towards?
Yeah, I mean, as a tuner, I work with a 174 and 144 a lot, which are like the kind of really important ones in biofield tuning for clearing. But I also really love 111, and I work with 111 a lot. Um, and 528, which is the one I've been using to demo. Um, yeah, those are some of my favorites. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
okay. I'm curious.
yeah, yeah. And then I also, um, and I work with crystal alchemy bowls, which are, incredibly powerful. I just love them. So I think they're very important. And then most recently, I would love to just work in that I've been working with, technological frequency. I've been working with a device called the Healy. Um, and, this this little device. I'm holding it up because I don't know if you do audio or video, but
Oh,
if you have the video. Okay, so if you're watching the video, I'm holding it up. And this little device was developed by a quantum physicist named Marcus Schmieke in Germany. And it what it's amazing about is that it can scan your bioenergetic field and it can tell you about the field and then feed you the frequencies that would support your field. Um, and so as well as they have a mag Healy that can provide like coherence and frequencies for water and frequencies for rooms and so I now use my Healy, throughout the day, is supportive as well. So I just love working with frequency. I think it as frequency as medicine, right? I mean, Albert Einstein once said the future of medicine will be frequency medicine. I really believe that. I mean, that everything in my own experience says that frequency, light. I've worked with light. Infrared saunas were super important in my mold detoxification and clearing. So I'm a huge fan of heat and infrared, red light therapy, sound. I think it's all like way, way, way underappreciated. I think that's actually the future of medicine. I really do.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think I know whenever I work with clients and in my own healing journey as well, it has been we're so deeply programmed to want the physical things, the physical solutions, because our minds can understand this, right? It can see it, touch it, feel it, like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
this is and especially when we're sold like just take a pill and it will get rid of it. Like our mind loves that idea. And when we're really struggling, like that feels like hope and solutions. And so like I always get it and I understand. And yet as we were speaking to, it's like our bodies are talking to us and I do believe that we choose all of these things, even if when they're so difficult, but like we can, I know like with 100% certainty, when I look back at all of those hard times in my life, I'm like, oh, like it led to this, or it led to this, or and it's like, oh, that's why it had to happen. So
Exactly.
and I've shared on here too, but I don't know if you know this about me, but like I was struggling with eczema. And that was how I got into hypnotherapy because I was doing all of the physical things and it completely took over my hands. I was in so much pain. I was becoming a nutritionist and I'm doing all of these things that I'm being taught to do for my clients. And yet nothing was working. And then I did one hypnotherapy session and got to the root of that my body was holding guilt. It was holding guilt. And once
Mm.
I witnessed that and saw it, released it, 2 weeks later, it's completely gone and it's never come back. So it's like we have to get to these deeper energetic things because our body is just telling a story, right? And like even
Exactly.
different areas of the body. So like for me, so this is what I've been really fascinated in recently too, is like different areas of the body speaking to us in different ways. So like for me,
Mm.
like guilt was like literally slapping myself on the hand, like, and that's what it was. Like I was mad at
Yeah.
myself for something I did
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago. But I didn't know that consciously. And so when we can work with the energetics, then we can get to these deeper layers and get to these deeper levels. And so, that's where I like
Yes.
really dove in. But now I see it's like, so I think it's so beautiful. We have these tools like the Healy and like tuning forks and stuff. So it just makes me, I'm curious too, like how you balance the physical and the energetic, the physical and the energetic, because this is my dance. I'm always like, we need both. We need both. We are physical beings, and yet everything is energy. So I'm curious what that dance looks like in your life and in your healing.
Hmm. Well, I love what you spoke to about, tell your story and the body, manifesting certain places. Like for me, when the mold struck, it was literally in my face. Like I had like my face was this like puffy balloon. Like I looked horrible, and it was like I couldn't avoid it. It was like, yeah, we're going to show you something that you will not ignore anymore because every time you look in the mirror, it's going to be right there
In your face.
in my face. It's like, how ironic is that?
The body is very literal.
It really is. And I think you're pointing to, that you had to address the beliefs, which I also work with my clients. Like everything is frequency and, including the beliefs that we hold that are holding the thing in place. And we have to address what those beliefs, we have to get to the core belief. So another part of my work is that getting into that, what is the core frequency in the form of the belief that we're holding that we haven't let go of yet, and transformed. So I just think that's really powerful and an essential part of the work too. Um, and and in the interplay between the physical, you talked about the like the dance between the physical and the, what were you saying, the emotional, is that
Energetic, emotional, yeah.
energetic? Yeah, the dance between the physical and the energetic. mm, Such a beautiful question. Okay, so I think where I'm getting guided to speak to is belonging and embodiment and the beauty of reconnecting to our physical selves. Um, in my own journey, um, and I think you see it in spirituality. There's a feeling of like, this is so bad what we're doing to the planet, or whatever, whatever thing is your thing that is your pain, right? That I I'm gonna leave now. Like, I'm gonna disconnect, and I'm gonna, like, I can't wait to be taken to transcend this. Like, there's a sense of wanting to transcend the physicality so we can finally be free. Do you know what I mean? That like existential sense of like, kind of waiting, like trying to escape. And what I, as an earth mother, as an earth teacher, I actually think that we're on a journey of deep homecoming, of like loving our bodies so deeply, loving this planet so deeply, that we get to be here. We get to have these bodies. We should be celebrating them every day with each other, with, again, I'm like feeling teary. It's like, look at what we have. We signed up for this because we wanted this beautiful human experience. Do we really believe that consciousness was making a mistake, or we made a mistake to ask for these human bodies? Like, no. No, we chose this because we wanted this. So really, that's so the journey in physicality is the journey to fall in love with your body and with the planet, to come home.
I'm getting emotional as I'm hearing you say this too, because it's hitting so many places and spaces within myself too, because I was absolutely there. Like I left my body. I left my body. I was I have been working closely with this woman who's my friend, mentor, teacher, guide, all of these things, and she is so deeply intuitive, and she said it's like Casper, like you're like Casper the ghost, like your spirit outside and your body is just walking along.
Mm.
And so we wonder, like, and this is not, I'm not the outlier, like this is unfortunately has become more and more common in our current day to day, of like, with just all of the, I think technology can support us, and it can also like carry us out of the body when we're too immersed in these worlds that we've created. But when we like reconnect to our body, reconnect to the mother, to the earth, like, and allow our body to actually come into healing and choosing to love ourselves through it, like that is part of what you spoke to earlier. That's not only how we heal the earth, that's how we heal ourselves, it's how we heal humanity, each other. um and I know for myself, like just like just feels such deep truth to everything you just shared, because that was like, I mean, and I'm always on this journey, right? There's always growth and expansion and evolvement and deeper embodiment. But that was a huge, 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 probably the biggest part of my
Mm,
journey was
yeah.
realizing that spirituality is coming deeper into the body. It's not because I was really good at going way up there. I was really good at it. But all of that,
Hallelujah.
what's the point if you can't bring it into the body? What's the point?
Exactly. It's not waking up, it's waking down, actually. We're waking in, down. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, amen to everything you said. And I I was experiencing my own version of that, Casper. Ghost. I think that's such a beautiful analogy, because of the shame and the guilt and the judgment that I felt about my own body. Like a lot of women, I grew up in a household where, to be fat would have been like the pinnacle of the worst thing I could have done. So I was, dare I be 5 or 10 pounds over my what theoretical weight that I had in my head, and I always felt like I was chasing some perfect image in my head of what I should look like. And that kind of perpetual sense of judgment and shame about my body made it not safe to be, to inhabit my body. Like maybe one time I could remember after, like, I had whatever, stomach illness, I remember for a period of a week or two, like feeling like I was the right weight. Like, because I'd, had a stomach virus. And so I couldn't eat for 5 days. And then finally I was 113. And I got to feel, good in my body for a few days. And the rest of the time I was chasing it mostly, chasing what some idea of beauty was. And yeah, and that's, and I know that's a lot of women face our society with its, with its obsession with image has trained so many of us to, dare we feel like, actually just beautiful, to be who we are, whatever weight we are, like, right? And yet the truth is that you are beautiful right now as an earthling. Whoever you are listening to this, you are gorgeous, and you get to claim that. Like claim it. Like, I am a beautiful earthling being, just as I am.
Absolutely. And yeah, my past with an eating disorder too was also the catalyst for my awakening in so many forms, because it is like it's again that fighting with the body. It's thinking like, why are you misbehaving? Why aren't you the size that I want you to be? And and that has also been such a deep deep journey of like love and acceptance for me. And I think for anyone listening to who like is also in that space and place, like I feel like the biggest, I mean, first of all, there's so many modalities to, I mean, I had to go to inpatient treatment at one point for an eating disorder. And I feel as though, while of course like it helped me with the physical, I just feel like we're so light years behind of like what actually heals the body energetically, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it wasn't until like I finally, what really feel like made it click for me was seeing that when I began to really like open up my psychic gifts and have them become more embodied, is I then began to see people's energy more. And I then saw that true beauty, it's not
Oh,
physical, right? It's not physical. People's light that they emit, like that's that's like what moves me. That's what
yeah.
moves me in. And when I see people's essence and when I see like their soul, and that's a level of beauty that uh no amount of manipulations and no size, no nothing. And like, look at some of these like people and icons and stuff that are like, there's the superficial beauty, and then there's the deep embodied beauty. And like, you can see when you really like come into your heart, you can see, you can feel the difference, right? You
Completely.
feel the difference.
1,000%. Yeah.
And I realized like that's what I want. Like that's what and I'm actually so much happier when I'm taking care of my body and like
Right.
giving it what it needs. And like
Right.
it's wild. And then as a byproduct, like our spirit grows. Our spirit is able to emanate and shine and then attract in those who are in that similar frequency, right? And so it's never like, and another thing that I also realized, like in my connection with spirit, was like we chose these bodies. We chose these exact bodies for our mission, for our work, for our what we came here to do. And so to think that it's wrong or bad or not the right size, like no, it is perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Amen, sister. It's perfect. You chose the body you're in. You know, the best thing you can do is start to love it.
Mhm.
And that, I can say those words and I hope whoever's listening it has impact, and that's deep work. Like I do breath work, for example. That's super transformative, and people have these amazing shifts in the breathwork. And actually, as we're sitting here, I'm getting the idea for a Love Your Body breathwork series. So I think that needs to happen. But so it's not work you need to do alone. I think that's really important to know that there's so many beautiful tools and techniques to help come into a space of deep embodiment. Don't feel like you need to convince your mind. Just start
Yeah.
to feel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much less about the mind, and really like
Yeah.
that. And that's what I love so much as we just like wrap up. But that's like truly what I love about you and what you're doing is like it is about the heart. It's about leading with the heart, loving with the heart, seeing with the heart, breathing with the heart, receiving with the heart, giving with the heart. Like that's really like our compass. And I feel like that is the future. Like the future is frequency, and our heart is the frequency, right? Like our heart is
Yes.
the barometer, the catalyst, the tool. Like it shows us, it tells us, it is like our compass for navigating and for um like it's when we can feel that, like, and tune into that more and more and more, it's like really like this merging of the heart and mind, and allowing our hearts to lead and our minds to support, rather than the minds to lead and the heart like maybe we'll tune
Yes.
in. So
Exactly. The map in your heart is the compass. Is the direction, is the way. Yeah, it is all about the heart. When I was working with my teacher, one of the early things he said, I never forgot, was like the portal is the heart. The portal is the heart. Keep going back to your heart. That's it. And love is the answer. Sounds so cliche, but when I will tell you the most profound moments in all my medicine journeys always are about love. And the answer I got is like, it's love, is, the recipe book of cookbook of life, every single page is written the word love. That's it. That's it. Love it. Not sure what to do? Love it. Not sure what to do? Love it. Whatever it is, whatever's showing up, turn in towards it with love, and it'll show you the way.
Holly, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for all of this beautiful wisdom you shared, beautiful medicine. I love everything that you shared about all the places we've
Mm.
been, but you are such a beautiful representation of like that earth mother, that beautiful medicine woman. And yeah, so thank you for everything that you shared. And where can people connect with you and find you and maybe do this breathwork ceremony with you?
Yeah, thank you. Well, you spoke about heart and mind. My website's heartmindalchemy.com. And so that's where, yeah, that's where you can find me, heartmindalchemy.com. And There's information about I do lead a monthly group that has a breath work once a month, and I'll do some series. I feel that that's a thing. So I'll have that. And then there's also, how you can work with me one-on-one and schedule a session yeah, and whatever, just reach out. I would love for anybody listening, if you feel called, reach out. We can find a way to work together one way or another. I would love it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. We will link all of that up in the show notes. And with that, I'm just sending you all infinite love and light.